You ready, Steve?
I'm ready, Spence. Punch it, Chewie!
Welcome to the Fortress of Nerditude podcast, a safe place to talk about all things in nerd and pop culture. I'm Spencer Stapleton, and my co-pilot, as always, is Steve Madura.
Hey, friends.
We're two best friends that, despite being fathers and husbands, we just refuse to grow up. Thank you for joining us. This is episode number 11.
You know, I got to tell you, Spence, as you say that intro every time, it resonates with me. I'm like, you're right. You're right. I am young at heart. I'm a guy that just doesn't want to grow up. Be like 92.
You are Peter Pan. That is true.
That's right. Have you ever seen the movie The Toy with Richard Pryor?
No, and you've asked me this question probably 50 times in our lifetime, and I always have to tell you no, because I haven't seen it, and I've yet to put it on my list of things to see.
All right, well, 2 seconds before we get into anything else, there's this one part where Richard Pryor is in a department store, and he's the department, like, night watchman, custodian guy, and he gets in this Wonder Wheel thing, and he starts rolling back and forth, and he rolls through the thing, and he knocks down all these mannequins and these, like, end caps and stuff like that. I always wanted a Wonder Wheel. That's all.
Okay. I do believe it's on Netflix, so I should add it to my list.
You should. The end, and I used to watch it as a very young child, the end gets into like a lot of like political and racial and like has references to like the Ku Klux Klan and whatnot in a funny way. But well beyond my years as watching it as young as I was, I'm like, Dad, what were you letting me watch this stuff for?
So as a youth, you thought Ku Klux Klan stuff was funny? Is that what you're telling me?
Well, Richard Pryor makes it funny. I mean,
gotcha.
Anyway.
I know what you're saying. Anyway.
I digress.
Yes. So, Steve, I want to let you know I am super excited to be recording again with you and back once again at this. This is the highlight of my week.
I got to tell you, me too, man. I love doing this, and it definitely is a break from the 9 to 5, from the mundane. I get to come down to my man cave, and I get to spend an hour with my best friend, and it is definitely a highlight of my week too.
Well, good. I like to hear that. Makes me feel all the feels on the inside.
Well, what am I going to say? Like, I hate doing... No, I'm just kidding. So, dude, how... I always start. How was your week, man? How was your week?
My week was pretty darn good. Oh, gosh, let's see here. So, where to go back to? Okay, so my mom was here last week, right? And
right.
She actually was here up until Saturday of this last weekend. And then I passed her off like a football to my brother.
Nice reference.
Yes, very well.
A deflated football.
Only if it was in New England. And my name was Tom Brady. But, so Mom's now over with Josh so she can help out with Jake, their newborn. And so it was kind of sad to see her go because she'd been with us for about a full week by that point, a little over a week. And Charlie and Jackson were asking where Nana was, and they wanted to go down to the basement to go to the basement guest room and see if Nana was down there. So it was nice to have the house back to ourselves, but at the same time it was kind of sad because the boys really enjoyed having her there.
Oh yeah. How often do they see her? I mean, she lives all the way on the other side of the country.
Right. So she's in just outside of Philadelphia, a little town called Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. And she probably makes it out here maybe once a year or so. Yeah. It depends. Like this last year was the Stapleton family Christmas. So she flew out for Christmas. And then with the baby coming, she came out again, a real quick turnaround. So we got to see her, pretty much kind of twice within about a 2-month period or so, which is nice. That's more than we ever usually get to see her. And then we probably won't catch her again till maybe sometime next year. So, but that's kind of what it is when you got family that lives on the other side of the world, right?
That is correct.
So Mom was here Friday night. My boss had myself and some former coworkers from our company and some friends of his and some coworkers of his wife's over to his house, and we had a poker night. And we played a little Texas Hold'em poker, and it got into the wee hours of the morning. I think I pulled back into the house around 12:30, 12:45, so not too late.
Wow.
I didn't get to bed till about 1:30 though, and then Charlie and Jackson decided to wake up at 5:30 on Saturday morning, so Saturday was a bit rough. I was a little tired.
Well, I gotta ask, before you move on, I gotta ask, how did it feel taking money from your boss? Do you feel
Oh, no.
bad about that?
Oh, no, I lost my money to my boss.
And how did it feel losing money to your boss? You're like, you just paid me that money.
You know, it was $10. It was, you know, a simple kind of buy-in. We played tournament style, so everyone could kind of play for the same amount of money, and it was a lot of fun. Like, we had a lot of fun. I'm glad my boss won. He's a heck of a good guy, and he's been playing poker now only for a few months and kind of learning the ropes. And so, you know, hey, he got to have some fun, have some friends over, had some good food. We listened to some music and played some cards, and he won like $100. So
learning the ropes sounds like he's putting you to the ropes, man. What the freak?
He pulled the old Muhammad Ali rope-a-dope, maybe. Sure,
that's right. That's right. Well, it's cool that you could hang out with your boss in like a non-work setting. That's probably a rare thing. That's a pretty cool thing. Pretty cool blessing.
Yeah. He's a great guy. He actually invited me to come over and hang out with him on Sunday to watch the Super Bowl at his place. But of course, since I had been out Friday night, I needed to stay home and be at home with Brita and the boys for Super Bowl Sunday. So we kind of kept it low key on Sunday, you know, the normal, you know, church. And then we came home and we watched the Super Bowl and had little mini pigs in a blanket and homemade pretzels. And that was our meal. But yeah. And then, man, I'll tell you what, that Super Bowl game was so boring. I mean, I'm not a fan of either the Falcons or the Patriots. I don't love or hate either one. I'm a Chicago Bears guy through and through. And if the Bears aren't in it, I really don't care who wins. Unless Green Bay is in it, then I care. I want whoever is playing Green Bay. I don't care if it's a bunch of prison inmates. I want them to win against Green Bay.
Replacement style Keanu Reeves.
You know, so I really didn't care one way or another. Atlanta just locked down in the first half and just totally took the game out of the Patriots' hands. But then, of course, Tom Brady in the third and fourth quarter marched back from a 25-point deficit to tie the game, to force it into overtime, and then score a touchdown. I mean, the second half of that game was phenomenal. I mean, it was great TV. It was great football. It was a great comeback. Not the greatest of all time. That's going to be the Cubs coming down 3-1 to win the World Series.
That is correct.
That's the greatest comeback of all sports history. I may be biased, but no, that's the best. Yeah, I'm going to say it here.
Yeah.
But it was really good, and it was a lot of fun. But it was nice just kind of being home with the kids because I could pause the game, run upstairs, and like put the kids to bed, and then come back down and finish the game. So.
Very cool. Very cool. Well,
so that was my week.
Yeah, no, I heard that a lot of people kind of felt the same way. That you know, there just aren't a lot of New England Patriot fans or Atlanta Falcon fans, but you know, again, always a good comeback, and that's always makes for, like you said, good TV, good ratings. So,
yeah, for sure.
Well, as a follow-up to my week update last week, my son was in the spelling bee that we were feverishly studying for and working for and whatnot, and he actually came in second.
Wow!
So he got runner up, and he was actually he kind of pulled the New England, man. He was down like with 3 words left in the final round, so he made it from through round 1. He was in round 2. He was behind. He was probably like in 5th or 6th place, and then they threw out 3 words, and he shot all the way up to number 2. Like a bunch of the other kids that were there didn't get him, and I think mnemonic was one of the words that really shot him up. He was the only one.
Onomatopoeia?
Right. Yeah, right. Mnemonic starts with an M. Who knew? But what's cool about it, he didn't know. So they don't know what place they're in. And so when they announced the winner, and then they said, and runner-up is Carabadura. And he's like, what the what? And they're sitting right next to each other. Odd? I don't think so. No, I'm kidding. They weren't sharing secrets. And so they give each other a high five. And so he actually gets to go to regionals and say the Pledge of Allegiance there. So
wow, that's really cool.
Yeah, kind of a cool thing.
So is he going to have to learn the Pledge of Allegiance, Steve? Do you need to teach him?
He has to actually spell it out. So he has to say...
I PLEDGE
exactly
TOTHEFLAG like horrible. This is gonna take forever.
That's right. Should have been Canadian. It's so much shorter. Anyway, so that happened. Over the weekend, we watched a movie that I actually thought was pretty good. I was roped into it by my kids, but it was 9 Lives, and it was a movie with Kevin Spacey and some other people. Who's the girl that plays in Ben Affleck's? The girl.
Oh, Ben Affleck, you say?
No, the Daredevil. The girl.
Jennifer Garner.
That's the one. Yes. Anyway, so she plays his wife, and it's actually a really good movie. And it's as a father, it's a good movie to watch and get some perspective. Almost like Family Guy is with Nicolas Cage, even though I loathe Nicolas Cage almost as much as Ben Affleck.
Ben Affleck, you say?
Sorry, we don't have time for you, Ben or Matt Damon. Anyway, so my week was good. Just busy as always, and good to be back.
So let me. I totally forgot this. Let me tell you this. I started watching.
Is this about Fireball Island?
No, it's not about Fireball Island.
Just making sure.
Still is expensive on eBay, but I'm watching it for you, just in case. I started a new series online where it ran this last season. We're watching on the little NBC app called The Good Place with Kristen Bell, where she dies and she accidentally gets sent to heaven instead of the other place. So she's in the
Ted Danson is in it?
Yes. So I've been watching this thing. It's actually a really funny little show. There's only 13 episodes in the first season, and I believe it got renewed for a second season, but they're going to keep it short again, like a 13 season series. But it's a fun little show. So if you haven't seen it and you're interested, I would recommend it. It's not, it's not going to set the world on fire. It's not going to go down as one of the greatest comedies of all time, like Cheers or Friends or Frasier or something like that. But it's, it's fun. It's entertaining.
Carrie and I watched probably a handful of episodes, probably half the season. We thought it was funny.
Yeah, it's good. So
Kristen Bell's cute. She's good in things.
Yeah, I like her, and I like her husband Dax Shepard. But so that, and then of course sometimes, like we discussed, you need a palate cleanser, maybe something you've seen before. I equate that to watching the same movie over and over in college when I needed to write a term paper. I want to watch something that I didn't really have to pay attention to, but I'd seen a bunch. And I've started watching the TV show Community again. We've got all the episodes.
Wait, is that the community college with
yes,
the guy that used to do Talk Soup?
Yes, oh man, I'm gonna just blank names right now. But yes,
Chevy Chase is in it.
Chevy Chase, Donald Glover. Anyway, I don't want to sit here and have a bunch of dead air while I'm trying to think of it. But
and you will edit my dead air out.
Yes. Anyway, watching Community again, and I love that show. It just makes me laugh.
That is a great show. Show.
There's just so many things and little TV tropes and movie tropes that they get in there and all these references. Yep. Anyway, so I'm kind of watching that as well. But,
now I heard did they kick Chevy Chase off that show? Because he was hard to deal with?
Pretty much. So basically, I'm trying to remember it all. I don't want to be completely incorrect, but basically he was having a hard time because into season 4, which was his last season, he his character is kind of an old man who's going to community college, who's kind of trying to keep his wits about him basically. But because he's an old man, they play on some of the old stereotypes that he's homophobic, somewhat racist, but it's all couched in the terms of back in his day when he was a teenager or a 20-something, these were acceptable ways to talk about people or to reference things or whatnot. And so they play with that kind of tongue in cheek through the first few seasons, and it's funny. It really, like, the way they do it's really funny. And everyone's like, you can't say that. That's, that's racist. And he's like, what? He's like, I love women. I love black women. And, he's like, I don't see, the difference, blah, blah, blah. But like the way he says it just inherently feels very racist. Right. So even though he's trying to say like, I'm not this. And so it's really well written. It's very well written. However, in later seasons, towards the end of the third season and going into the fourth season, it's like the writers started writing his character more as like a caricature of his character. And so like they started like amping up the like homophobia and the racism and kind of made his character only about that. Mm-hmm. And Chevy Chase, understandably as an actor, got very frustrated with that because, that's not necessarily what the character was before, and they were kind of changing it and really kind of pushing some of the uglier elements of it and making it became more ugly, like it just really did. And he basically, said he'd had enough and that he wasn't going to do this if they were going to be writing him this way. And there was some changes with the showrunner and the head writer at the time. And so he basically just walked off the show. And that's really what happened. And so I kind of can't fault Chevy, but then of course the NBC people were saying, he was difficult to work with. Well, it's because he was probably really upset and was unhappy about the way they were taking his character. So you could say, maybe Chevy was being a drama queen, or maybe he wasn't. Maybe NBC was being unreasonable, or maybe they weren't. Maybe it was a combination of both, and they just couldn't see eye to eye and see past their own, biases.
Yeah, no, I think the show's awesome. Like I said, Carrie and I watched probably the first season, and I think Joel McHale is always funny. Donald Glover, and then is it Danny Pudi? I don't know how to say his name. Is it what is it?
I think it's Putty.
Anyway, they are awesome together. They are Donald Glover and Danny Pudi.
Troy and Abed. Yep.
Yeah, they're awesome. Well, very cool.
Troy and Abed in the morning. Anyway, I love that show. Matter of fact, there's an episode.
Biblioteco.
There's an episode in, I think, the second or third season where Abed has like this mental breakdown, and they kind of go into this Christmas world where they all become kind of like little claymation figures that look like they're from the Island of Misfit Toys, if you remember, that kind of the claymation, Rankin and Bass. Yeah.
Yeah.
So NBC actually made those little figurines into like little Christmas figurines, and I bought a set of them, and every Christmas I put them out and put them on a little part of our shelf space for Christmas decorations. I love it.
I'm sure your wife appreciates that as well.
Brita loves Community. I mean, she loves it. So every year I always take a picture and I post it on social media. And big shout out to my buddy Ed Placentia, who always immediately is like, man, I love that, because he's a huge Community fan, and I always get a big kick out of seeing his reaction to that. So
that is funny.
Anyway, long way around talking about some stuff we're watching again and rewatching in my case. But anyway, moving on, Steve.
Moving on.
You know what time it is?
I know what time it is. Let's get to it.
Let's do it. It's time for some Rebel Intelligence. I always have to let you know, Steve, that many Bothans died to bring us this information.
Rest in peace, you Bothans.
Okay, Steve, it's time for Rebel Intelligence, my favorite part of the podcast.
All right. So you're going to start us off?
Yeah, let's do this. So last week we talked about Doctor Who, right? Peter Capaldi said he was going to be leaving the show after this season, right? So, of course, the internet being the internet, the interwebs, they went crazy, and speculation about who's going to be the next Doctor has kind of already started going wild. However, the reports are coming out saying that basically from, England, from the BBC, that the search for Capaldi's replacement won't begin for a few months more. Basically, they're waiting for the new showrunner, I think his name is Chris Chibnall, to to be involved, because obviously he's going to have a big hand in who's going to be the next Doctor, because he's going to be working with him for probably a few seasons, we can assume. So they're trying to squash the rumors, they're trying to squash the speculation, because Capaldi's last season still needs to air. They haven't started looking. But of course, man, this is the internet. People want to talk. They want to figure things out, so...
Ben Affleck, did you say? No. Very interesting. Very cool. Well, it'll be interesting to see who was right and who was wrong, and I'm sure people will be betting on it in Vegas. New music from the Lego Batman movie has been leaked by the studio, and we threw up a link. Maybe we could throw it up on our Facebook page. They're trying to get, of course, a catchy tune like Everything Was Awesome. Everything is Awesome from the original Lego movie, which again took off like wildfire, and there were remakes and there were yada yada yadas. And so they've got a few different versions they've tried. I think Fall Out Boy has recorded this one of the versions. I've listened to it. It's okay. It has I think it has some voiceovers. I don't think Will Arnett actually does the voice of Batman for the song, but they try to make it poppy. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
I listened to it as well, and I mean, it sounds okay and it sounds good. Here's the problem: is that Everything Is Awesome was extremely catchy, and
right.
it was extremely poppy, and
it was like cocaine for your ears.
Right. I mean, it just fit in perfectly. So when I saw the little news article saying, hey, they're trying to kind of come up with their own catchy tune like Everything Is Awesome, I was like, yeah, if you hadn't said that, and if you just kind of let it happen organically, and I go to the movie theater and I watch this, right, that would be better for me.
Now it's been forced.
Well, it just seems like it's like
artificial.
Right. I mean, it's just not quite, I don't know. You know what I mean? Yep. It's just not there. Yep. But, I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm going to go see that movie.
Yeah, regardless of the theme song. I could care less, actually. But
right. Now,
but, I don't see it getting the play that Everything Is Awesome did.
No, neither do I. And that's okay, because the movie looks so funny on its own. I don't think it needs to, rely on having a catchy theme song to sell tickets.
Right.
I think it's going to do really well on its own.
Yeah, just from the trailer like we talked about a few podcasts ago, that it seems really well written, really a lot of good jokes crammed into 2 hours.
Let's hope so. So I was talking about Community, which is kind of funny that I'm watching that, but Donald Glover, who plays Troy in Community, he was also in The Martian. He also has a music career where he's a rapper and goes by the name Childish Gambino. This just recently happened where he actually had a sit down with none other than Billy D. Williams, or as we like to call him, Lando Calrissian. And Lando. Stranger Things, Lando. But anyway, he sat down with Billy D. Williams to have a conversation, and it was basically kind of one of these things where Donald Glover is playing a young Lando Calrissian in the upcoming Han Solo movie, the standalone movie, right? Right. And so he basically wanted to have a sit-down meeting with him, kind of pick his brain. And Billy D. Williams basically said that he had a great time meeting Donald Glover. He was really enjoyable. He said he was really lovely. But Billy D. did say that it's kind of hard to think of someone else as Lando, because basically for the last 30 years, he's been Lando in all the Star Wars stuff that's been done, all the conventions he goes to, he goes as Lando. Can you imagine, Steve, what that would be like to be an actor, to play a part and own that part? Like, most people are going to recognize you for that one part, and maybe that one part only for your whole life. And then someone else is going to take that away. Someone else is going to become that character. How would you feel?
Well, I actually kind of know Billy D. Williams for his role in the original Batman movie with Michael Keaton, where he played a municipal official.
Yes.
I'm just kidding. I have no idea what
he played the original Harvey Dent.
That was right. The original Harvey Dent. I don't know. So my wife and I went and saw the last performance of Tevye playing or Topol playing Tevye from Fiddler on the Roof in his last performance, and he'd done the show for like 40 years and whatnot, and and I've seen it with other people, and I get it with Lando, but I also kind of think like, yeah, brother, but let it go. It's like you had your time, and Harrison Ford. I don't think is Harrison Ford involved at all with the new Han Solo project?
No, I don't believe so. Not at all.
Yeah, I don't think so. So I think it's the passing of the torch. I think everybody else is getting on board with that and understanding that their time has come, and it's kind of a rite of passage. Like they're saying, let the new generation take it. So.
I just don't think you can go back and tell a story of a younger version of the character we saw 30 some years ago now with the original actors. I just don't think that's possible.
No, absolutely not. Absolutely
So
not.
now I'll tell you what though, the funniest part about this whole thing is that Donald Glover's mother told him not to ruin this for her because she's a big Billy D. Williams, Lando Calrissian fan.
Oh my gosh. Honey, now don't you go ruin this for us now.
Talk about pressure, right? Yeah.
Billy D.
Billy D, Billy D, Billy D. Anyway.
Very interesting. So one thing I wanted to talk about. So Michael Bay is once again saying that the current upcoming Transformer movie, The Last Knight, will be his last. Now I think we've heard this before, but
yeah, like every movie.
Yeah, like every movie, and then he's like, oh, a few more million. Yeah, one more go around. So again, this is another Transformers movie. It's scheduled, and a standalone movie called Bumblebee is coming out as well. What was the last movie that you saw from Transformer or from Michael Bay?
Oh, it definitely would have been a Transformer movie.
Yeah,
I think I saw the third movie. I know I definitely saw the first two, and I think I may have seen the third one, but that's where I checked out. I mean,
yeah.
The problem with that is like, I wanted to see the first one because it was part of, Transformers was a big part of my youth, right? I loved getting up Saturday mornings watching Transformers.
Absolutely.
But the movies came out, and I was like, yeah, okay, the first one was kind of good, and I liked it, and I gave it some leeway and variance just because nostalgia. And then they came up with a second movie, and then a third movie. And then it's like, you know what, okay, I'm past this. I'm past the nostalgia part. Now, to me, those movies just aren't that good. It's a Michael Bay movie. It's a lot of big exploding explosions and action, and not very heavy on plot. And if you like that thing, that's great. I mean, I'm not going to knock that if you like that. But for me, I can do without.
Yeah, was the second one with Channing Tatum?
Channing Tatum was in one of those?
I thought he was like an army dude in one of them. I thought maybe he was in the second one. I'm just trying to remember which was the last one that I saw. And I think I only watched through the second one. The first one was with Shia LaBeouf and Megan Fox. The second one, I think, was...
The second one was Shia LaBeouf also, but I think Megan Fox had like a small role in it because like he'd gone off to college or something.
Yeah. Yeah, so anyway, I think I only watched up to the second one as well, and I thought like it's just too much for me. Like I didn't think as well they were that good, they were that engaging. They had to come up with these new plots with the little energy cubes and all this stuff, and I'm just like, yeah.
See, to me, like Transformer movies and like the Fast and the Furious movies, like they just keep making more of them and more of them. And granted, people are going out and buying tickets. I mean, they're making money. So it's good, of course they're going to keep doing it. It's a cash cow, heavy on the explosions and the CGI, not a lot of story. You don't have to maybe necessarily get great actors for some of these roles. But, right. I mean, I think I stopped.
Sometimes it kind of seems like a money grab a little bit.
Yeah. It's like, I mean, like I saw the first Fast and the Furious and I loved that one. And then I think I saw the second one and it wasn't the same. Vin Diesel wasn't in it. And then I skipped the third one, which was Tokyo Drift. And then I think I saw the fourth one and maybe the fifth one. And that's it. But it was like...
That's quite a lot, actually.
So I saw 1, 2, 4, and 5. But I haven't seen 6. I haven't seen 7. Now they're coming out, I think, with an 8th one. And I'm sure there's going to be a 9th one. I mean, I'm not going to be surprised if this is another one of those series like, we made 10 movies.
That's just, too much. Too much.
Yeah. I just kind of lost interest. Anyway, getting on to something I have not lost interest in at all. Lando. Stranger Things, okay, right? So we're going to talk a little bit about this now, and then we're going to talk a little bit about it later. But Stranger Things, their official Twitter, dropped a hint over the weekend right before the Super Bowl. They posted a little picture of a weather report for Houston, which is obviously where the Super Bowl is being held. And on one of the days, which was obviously Sunday, they showed like lightning and like all this weather and like, it's kind of like, a little cloudy the day before on like Friday, a little cloudy on Saturday. Then on Sunday, like the weather looked like crazy horrible. And the difference, someone posted this on Twitter. They kind of were looking at this, trying to look for like little clues. They posted that the difference between the temperatures was 9 on the first day, 8 on the second day, and 17 on the third day. So people are thinking maybe this means that on September 8th, 2017 is when the second season's going to drop. Now, that's probably not accurate, and we'll talk about that in a little while, but I really like that the people who are doing Stranger Things, the Duffer Brothers or whoever's running their social media, knowing that they were planning on doing something in the Super Bowl, leaked something like, or not leaked, I mean, this is intentional, but they put something out there like this. I mean, I like it when companies do little things like this and use social media to kind of a little cat and mouse, with their viewers, if you will, about like, here's a little teaser, just a little something. Because, I mean, I looked at that thing probably for like a good 10 minutes trying to see if there was some sort of meaning or if any of the numbers equaled 11.
Be sure to drink your Ovaltine?
It's a dang commercial.
Yeah. Very cool. Well, I am so excited. I am so excited for that. That's probably what I am most excited about, and I am going to gobble it up with 2 hands, bear claws, fisting it down in the Tommy Boy style. The last thing I want to talk about before we move on to other things in the main event is a new Super Bowl edition of the Clueless Gamer. We talked about this a few podcasts ago. Conan O'Brien's little skit. Hilarious. Check it out if you haven't seen it yet, and tell us what you think.
Yeah, it was really, I saw it already. It's really funny. They played the game For Honor, which basically was like, it's like a fighting game, but it's like set back in the day. So like they were like Vikings fighting samurai or something like that. And it was really good, but it was with Tom Brady and Dwight Freeney. So like they typically try to get 2 people who are in the Super Bowl. And it was really good. And then all of a sudden, like Conan O'Brien was kind of making fun. He's like, the Patriots, come with, extra help. And so like Gronkowski showed back up and a few other players showed up. And then they're like, oh, well, here's some Falcons players to help out, Dwight Freeney. And so pretty soon there was like 6 guys in there. And then all of a sudden, like they bring Marshawn Lynch back in, who, just retired and played with the Seahawks because he was on it last year and he was so funny when they played Mortal Kombat the previous year. And so he joined them. And so like at one point I looked around and I was like, man, they got like 6 or 7 NFL players sitting in a DoubleTree Inn somewhere in Houston, just playing video games like a day or 2 before the Super Bowl. I was like, that's pretty darn cool. But anyway,
that is hilarious.
A lot of fun.
Very
definitely
cool.
worth watching.
Yeah, take a look.
Okay, so last week we were talking about Stranger Things, which we both love, and we wanted to ask you a question. What original content, what shows should we be watching? And we got some responses, and I want to get to those. Steve, the first response, though, happens to come from a special lady in your life, someone you know very intimately.
So yeah, my mom actually, she's a big fan of the show. Anything her kids do, she wants to be involved and tell them that they're better than any other kids on the block. No, I'm just kidding. Can
I just say real quickly, how much I love your mom.
Oh.
She's the best. I love Nancy.
She is the best. She's an awesome mom. So shout out to moms everywhere. But man, I think I lucked out. I got a great one. So anyway, so she did respond to our question of the week with this little nugget, and I have to admit that it's one that I have not seen, but she loves the show Merlin, which is not an original, but it's a BBC series, and she says it's an amazing show. All the actors and actresses do an amazing job. So definitely maybe an homage to your mom's recommendation for Iron Man, Spence. I might need to go check out Merlin. So,
you know, I remember that I haven't seen Merlin, but I do recall seeing previews for it back in the day. I remember it did look very, very interesting.
Yeah.
So
BBC always does a good job. So I will take up your recommendation, Mom, and wash behind my ears, wear clean underwear, and check out Merlin.
Very nice. Moving over to Facebook. By the way, I also put out the question of the week on social media a little late. That's my bad, so sorry about that, Steve.
No worries.
We did get a few more responses, though. Facebook, Eric Gifford, my brother-in-law, says one of the latest that's been winning trophies this awards season is Netflix The Crown. It chronicles the reign of Queen Elizabeth II. Great cast, and most notable name for sci-fi nerds is Matt Smith of Doctor Who fame, which he played the Doctor. So I'm probably going to check that out just because Matt Smith is in it.
Very cool. And was that a Netflix original, by the way?
Yes. Yeah, The Crown is a Netflix original.
Okay, cool.
Jason Both said Continuum is a good sci-fi one out of Canada. And I looked that up and was kind of reading about that a little bit, and that sounds pretty kind of cool. It's about time travel, it looked like, and had some elements in it that I would be interested in.
I like that phrase, pretty kind of cool. I'm going to use that.
That looks pretty kind of cool.
My daughter brings home some finger paints. I'm like, those are pretty kind of cool. Mm-hmm. Recycling bin. No, I'm kidding. Would never do that.
And then this is going to be a throwback name for you, Steve. You probably haven't heard this name in a little while, but Amanda Brotke commented.
Oh, wow.
And she said the OA. So I looked up the OA. OA is
Wait, is that similar
original...
to like the OC? Is that like the second version?
No, it's a Netflix, it's a sci-fi show, and I believe it's one of the most recent ones Netflix has done, kind of around the same time as Stranger Things.
Right on. Amanda Brotke. Well, awesome for listening, man. We a dear friend from long ago, and sweet person. Love her to death.
Absolutely. So we appreciate all of your guys' feedback on our question of the week. We'll have to take some of your recommendations and see what we can do as far as getting those on our list of things to watch. We do appreciate your interaction. We do appreciate your feedback. We're going to start asking you guys for some more feedback in the coming days. We want to know what type of things do you want us to talk about? And so we'd be interested to hear from you. Also, we want to let you know that coming up this month in February, our movie club is going to be the Lego Batman movie. So be prepared for that. I think we're shooting towards end of the month to record and release the Lego Batman movie club.
Right on.
So I'm super excited, and I've got an idea for a guest to join us. I haven't talked to him yet, but I know he's really excited, so I'm going to reach out to him, and we'll talk about it off the podcast, and we'll see if we can get this lined up.
That would be awesome. Will Arnett would be a great guest.
I agree. And I happen to know a guy who knows a guy who had lunch with a guy who once sat next to Will Arnett. So I'm sure we can make this happen.
No, you don't.
No, you don't. No, you didn't. But I one time
I knew a guy.
No,
you didn't.
Anyway, so Steve, we kind of talked about it a little bit. We were talking about the Super Bowl, and I know that there's two thoughts on the Super Bowl in today's culture, in today's day and age. One is people watch it for the game,
right?
And the other is people watch it for the commercials. Now, the commercials to me this year were more important because I didn't care who was really playing in the game.
And I think a lot of people felt the same way. I found that a lot of people were like, yeah, New England, Falcon, I felt a lot of people were in the same boat. They could really care less. Though it turned out to be kind of a good ending to a somewhat boring beginning.
Yeah, I agree. The game wasn't, I don't know, it didn't catch me. It didn't appeal to me. And like I said, the Bears weren't in it, so I didn't really care. But there was lots and lots and lots of commercials, though, that I thought were really good or really interesting. And they seemed like they also jam-packed a ton of movie previews, like trailers, in the Super Bowl. Do you know what the cost is to run a 30-second ad this year for the Super Bowl?
Isn't it $5 million?
I think that's what I heard.
Yeah.
But I couldn't remember, because I know a couple of years ago it was like 3.5, maybe 4.
Yeah, no, I think I've read $5 million in several places.
Wow. $5 million for 30 seconds.
Right.
I can't even fathom what that's like to spend. But these companies know their business. They know what they're doing. So let's get into this. I want to talk about some of these commercials, some of these previews. Hands down, I thought, and you tell me if I'm wrong, or maybe if you thought the same thing. What did you think of like the music that was played in some of these commercials? I felt like, especially on the movies, that like they were going for like big name songs or well-known songs that to try to really like convey an emotion.
Yeah,
maybe.
No, I've seen that a lot. You know, in recent years. You know, just using big name movies to catch it. I think what was their Journey? I think I heard on one, which was the baby. Was it the baby NFL players, the baby legends?
Yes, Baby Ditka. Come on,
Baby Ditka.
now.
That's right, man.
Baby Ditka.
Baby Ditka.
That was probably the best part of the entire Super Bowl because, Mike Ditka, Chicago Bears, hey, we got there.
we got there. 85, man. 85, we got there.
Hey, we got there in 2006. We just didn't win it, but no. So like, okay, this is like epitomizes what I'm thinking. So we talked about just a little bit ago, right? The Transformer movies and the Fast and the Furious movies.
Right.
What was the last Pirates of the Caribbean movie you saw?
Number 2.
Okay, I think I saw 1 and 2. I think I maybe have seen a little bit of 3 here and there on TV. No interest. Now, the trailer for this starts, and I'm like, yeah, Pirates of the Caribbean. I'm not going to go see this. Then they start playing the Johnny Cash song, Ain't No Grave, and I was like, ooh.
That's true. Yeah.
And all of a sudden, I kept thinking, man, maybe I want to see this. This looks good. No, it doesn't look good. The problem is they're playing a song that I love, and now I'm kind of like associating that song with that trailer, and I'm going to go to that. I'm not going to, okay? Let's put that down. I'm not going to go see that movie.
Right.
However, if I did go see that movie, I would sit there for 2 hours angry because I hadn't heard that song in the movie yet. That song, let's be honest, that song's probably not going to be anywhere in that movie.
That's right.
It was only for marketing, only for the trailer. But boy, they did their job. I mean, I was this close to pre-ordering a ticket on that song alone.
Fandango was right at the click away. No, I thought that was a really cool juxtaposition. When you have like this old kind of grizzled country kind of walking dead, and then yeah, I thought it was a cool play on the song.
Plus the line, ain't no grave can hold my body down.
Mm-hmm.
And like they're showing these, I don't know, zombified, half resurrected pirates coming after Jack Sparrow. I'm like, man, that was great marketing, guys. I mean, Great marketing. Yep. I'm not going to go see it, but great marketing.
And then also, what was it? It was the buy drink that with Christopher Walken and Justin Timberlake.
Oh,
bye.
Yeah, they played NSYNC.
Yeah, yeah.
Christopher Walken even quotes the lyrics in his trademark.
Is he not the weirdest dude ever? I mean, between he and John Malkovich, I don't know who's weirder, but it's so funny. Christopher Walken, I mentioned earlier that we watched 9 Lives this past weekend with my kids, and he plays, as always, some weird shopkeeper pet guy with the weird like crushed velvet jacket and his hair all poofified, and same role as he always is, because I think that's really just him.
That maybe it could be the ultimate typecasting.
Yeah, exactly.
But I tell you what, though, I liked that. I mean, I'm not going to go drink that water or juice or whatever it was, but that was clever.
Yep.
I mean, it really, getting back onto this too, like the trailer for the Logan movie. I'm already sold on the Logan movie. They've got my money. I'm going to go see this thing. But then they started playing Amazing Grace, and I don't know who was singing that. But man, like it hits you in the feels. I mean, I really was just like sitting on the edge of my seat, leaning forward, just watching this thing, like almost holding my breath. And the whole time it's just like that juxtaposition, like all this violence they're showing and all this fighting. And this beautiful angelic voice is singing Amazing Grace. Man, that's, it hit me.
You know what that reminds me of? It reminds me of, I remember you were in a theater, no, not in a theater, you were in a film class, and I think it was back at Rick's, and you had some project where you had to put together two pieces of, of media, movie or, video and music that didn't go well together. And I remember that you specifically put together the fight scene with Luke and Darth Vader in Return of the Jedi and
Empire
Strikes Back. I'm sorry, and what was it, like Vivaldi or like Pachelbel Canon D or something like?
It was No. It was Peer Gynt Morning. I'm trying to think how that's like. Yes, that's exactly what it was.
And there's like glass flying and huge containers flying at Luke, and then the glass breaks open, everything's getting sucked out, and to this peaceful repertoire.
Yes. It was. That's a good memory, Steve.
Yeah,
yes.
I do what I can, man.
That actually was one of my favorite little projects to work on, because it was a great juxtaposition. I mean, it's this calming music, and Luke is just being like destroyed by Darth Vader on film.
But no, going back to Logan, the Logan movie, that trailer is rough, man. That is like, that is and then, and I wasn't surprised. I was disappointed a little bit just because I probably won't see it, but I wasn't surprised to see the R rating, because it was a rough trailer, but it looks really, really good.
I know that the reason why they made that movie rated R was because of Deadpool. Deadpool did really big business. It did really, really well. It made a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And the studios didn't think that was going to be the case, because they've never done an R-rated superhero type of movie. And the story they're trying to tell with this Logan is a rougher story. It's a more raw, more mature story that they're trying to tell. And they saw that Deadpool could do it, so they decided to try it. Now, I think it's probably going to work. I think it's going to bring in big money for them, but this is kind of like we talked about last week. I don't want this to be the norm. Like, I don't want superhero movies to go this way, because it will keep people away.
Right.
And all of a sudden you don't want Spider-Man to be rated R, and, the X-Men movies and the new Avengers movies, because they will lose money.
That's right.
R-rated movies have been proven to not produce in the box office anywhere nearly as well as a PG-13 movie.
Well, and you just open it up for content that, like, you really don't. I mean, do you need all the violence and all the sex in, like you said, like a Superman or a Spider-Man or Superman? No, they're they're more of a clean-cut superhero anyway. So it's. I mean, it plays well to Logan and to the story, likely. And again, I think it looks like a phenomenal movie and a phenomenal story. But you're right. I don't want to see superheroes, go that way as well. I don't think that was Stan Lee's vision, for many of his creations.
No, not at all. And, they even operated back in like the 60s and 70s, where they had the Comic Book Code Alliance, where they had to kind of self-regulate to not, show certain things and not use certain words and whatnot, to kind of get around, to not get around censorship, but to make sure that they weren't going to get censored.
Yeah.
And so they kind of, had to pass this kind of board of approval almost. And so knowing that they went through all of that, And then later in the, the late 70s and 80s and 90s, obviously things were different. They didn't have to do that. But I can't imagine Stan Lee's like, yeah, let's put, Mr. Fantastic and Sue Storm in, very, revealing outfits and have them have a scene that's tawdry and
Right.
that we can't show in the comics. And no, that wasn't his thing. I mean, his thing was about, superheroes saving, the lives of others and, using, good stories to tell a morality tale and whatnot. Right. So.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, good. Well, I loved that one. What were some of the other movie trailers that you really liked?
Hands down, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, baby.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
That thing looked so good, and they showed it was extended, right? So there was more stuff in this than we've seen previous, and it still was super good. I'm kind of always worried about the whole, hey, we're showing all the good parts in the trailer, but knowing how good the first movie was, I think we're just scratching the surface with how funny this movie is going to be and how good it's going to be. And it's coming out in May. I cannot wait for May. Let's get to it. I want this.
Happy May Day. Happy May Day. No, that looked really good. And there were some other funny scenes. I love the scene at the end when the fireball comes and and hits her in the head. He's like, guys, I tried. Watch out.
Yeah,
that looked good.
Awesome.
One of the other things that I was super stoked about, of course, was the Stranger Things, season 2 teaser. It starts out with the boys in like Ghostbuster costumes, which I thought was awesome. And
well, I like that they showed like the little Eggo waffle commercial at the beginning of that.
That's right. Yeah. And then it kind of fades out, gets staticky and fades out.
So, we kind of talked about it a little before in the Rebel Intelligence about the news and the little social media stuff that they were dropping. Well, it doesn't look like it's coming out on September the 8th. It looks like it's coming out Halloween.
Yep.
So a little bit further to wait. But I mean, you can't tell me that one of the coolest shots of that was seeing the boys in Ghostbuster outfits with proton packs on their back.
That's right.
I mean, that was so awesome. It made me want to go back to being a child in the 80s and to dress like that.
I hope these kids,
that's how I felt.
I hope these kids, these actors, appreciate the nostalgia. I hope they do their homework and really do their due diligence onto what this means for our generation. So,
yeah, man, I tell you what, that probably was one of the biggest highlights for me, just because right now I'm totally on board the Stranger Things train.
Yeah. And
I just, I love it.
From what I saw from that trailer, though, it seems like things have gotten bigger, right? I mean, there's a scene where I don't know which kid is Will Byers or whoever opens the door, and you just see this huge, the horizon looks, red and just.
Yeah, it looks like some sort of like alien thing in the sky, maybe.
Yeah. This has gone beyond their little town, I believe. So.
Well, you got to think that in the first season, they kind of touch upon this other world, right? And like like they explained with the whole, paper folding and punching through, that these kind of two worlds are colliding. Well, if this happened, I mean, yes, the Demogorgon was killed at the end of that season, right? But I mean, wouldn't those two worlds still be, in contact more than they should be? And so wouldn't it make sense that now Pandora's box has been opened?
You can listen to all the music you want. Yes, that would make sense. That would make sense. Based on the whole punching paper analogy, yes, I think that would make sense. I'm no elementary school physics teacher, but whatever. So what about some of the other ads? What were some of your favorites? So
I really liked. So there was some there were some obvious ones that were politically charged, right? Mm-hmm. That had kind of a political tone to them. I mean, I know Airbnb did one. I'm trying to think of the others. There was the Budweiser one about the immigrant traveling over here, Adolphus Bush, in order to come to St. Louis and make beer. And so like there was a bunch of different ones that kind of had a kind of a political message to them, more than in past years. But the funniest one I thought was the one for that shampoo company called like It's a 10, and it's
Yeah.
and it started off saying like, you know, we have to put up with 4 years of bad hair, and it shows us like cowboy taking the hat off and like, you know, shaking his head and his locks kind of falling out. It's like, but you can use our shampoo and we can help you with that. You know, it's a 10, blah, blah, blah. And I really liked that because it was making a political statement, but it was very lighthearted. It kind of came at you from the side. It wasn't like overt or heavy handed. But it just was kind of poking fun and making fun of that. And I thought that was genius.
Yeah.
And I've never heard of this company. Okay, I don't have hair, so of course shampoo isn't going to be up my alley. But I hadn't heard this company, so to me it's a new company. Spending $5 million for a 30-second ad, I mean, this could be, you know, a big deal for them. And it could be a real big, you know, big deal for their company. And I hope it is. When I see like smaller companies or, you know, companies that, you know, aren't this typical like Ford or Chevrolet or Coca-Cola, right, you know, not the big guys, put out an ad, I'm like, good for them. I'm glad. I hope that it goes well. So my best to them, and I hope they sell a ton of shampoo.
You could buy some for your wife.
Maybe.
You know, going back to the, I really did like the Budweiser Born the Hard Way story. You know, I don't know. I'm a sucker for, you know, high production value, high quality. And this one like told a story within like 30 seconds that was moving. You know, it's amazing that they could tell a story with a few scenes and you just get it, right? You connect all the pieces, you get it, and at the end you're like, wow, that was really moving, right? The music was epic, and I think that did they, you know, were they trying to be overt in their immigration? Maybe, probably, but I took it more subtly. I took it more just at face value, saying that this was a story about, you know, the origin of Budweiser and how it came to be, and I left my political hat at the door. So I really like that commercial.
I did too. I thought it stood out for the same reasons. Plus, I also liked the fact that it just seemed to like, if this wasn't this year, right? If there hadn't been a bunch of other commercials, they kind of had, you know, a political overtone.
Right.
Would this have stood out with that? Like, would you have even thought about that?
Absolutely not.
I don't think so.
Nope.
So I think that this commercial would work whether or not it was last year or next year.
Yep. And that's why I thought it was very subtly done, if that was in fact their intention. But I didn't think it was. I thought that was just a story. On the lighter side, though, I really liked the Kia commercial with Melissa McCarthy. I'm a sucker.
She was good.
Yeah, I'm just a sucker for, like, I don't know, slapstick style, like Home Alone, getting the crap beat out of you type of humor, I guess. That's the part of it
Right.
what I mentioned earlier about not growing up. Anyway, so she's, of course, you know, trying to save the world by driving a fuel-efficient eco Kia, but they keep calling her to say, hey, save the whales, save the rhinos, save the ice caps, and each time she goes out, she gets, you know, something horrible happens to her, and I love it. She's up in the tree, and she's kissing the tree, and suddenly they're like, and they cut it down. No!
Right. I like that. I also like the Skittles, the Romance the Rainbow commercial.
Oh, that was awesome.
Because I thought that was just kind of, once again, lighthearted, but like, it's kind of like the little boy, like Cyrano de Bergerac style outside, like pelting little Skittles at the window. You know, it's like, you know, Melissa, or whatever.
And the window's open.
And the window's open, and he throws them in, and you see her, she's sitting there catching them in her mouth, eating them. And then, like, she slides over, and then it's like Mom, and Mom catches one or two, and then slides over, and then it's Dad, and then slide over, and it's like
Grandma.
It's Grandma, and then she slides over, and it's like someone that's burgling their house. And then he slides over, and it's like a cop. And then slides over, and it's like a badger or something.
Freaking badger. We don't need no stinking badgers.
It's just so funny. It was
my gosh.
I
totally
liked it.
random and just
just out of left field. But, you know, hey, everyone loves Skittles, and they want to taste the rainbow, and I can't fault the badger for wanting a Skittle.
The one that I thought was kind of creepy, I got to be honest, was the Mr. Clean. The Mr. Clean where where he's kind of sultrily dancing around the house, wiping up things and whatnot.
You mean you didn't like the CGI butt?
Yeah. Yeah, it was just creepy. Like, he even looked creepy, just his face. And so, the premise obviously is this woman is getting hot and bothered by Mr. Clean cleaning her house. Turns in, she comes to her senses to see that it's just average Joe, her husband, with a pot belly and whatever. And of course, she attacks him in passion. So I just thought it was weird and creepy.
Okay, so if you thought that was weird and creepy, there was some T-Mobile commercials that were kind of like based around like S&M, where like they showed this actress, and
she's from
Flight
Last
of the
Man on Earth.
Conchords. Yeah, or Last Man on Earth, Flight of the Conchords.
Yeah. Well, she's a funny actress. I think she's funny.
Oh, she's hysterical. But like, there's scenes she comes in, it's kind of like this. Looks like a sex dungeon, but like there's like chains, but it's like mobile phones chained up.
Right.
And they're like, oh, you like data overages, do you? She cracks a whip, and it's like we're gonna give you roaming charges. She's like, oh no, roaming charges. Oh no. And I just started going, what am I watching?
And the tagline is something like something about mobile pain or fee pain or something like that. Like,
yes, and there's like T-Mobile, blah blah blah, saves you from the fee pain. I was like, this is weird. And then like later in the Super Bowl, they aired another one where she's like, I don't know, she was like laying down like on a bearskin rug or something, and she's like calling up the customer service rep from Verizon, and she's like, I need to know, what my penalties are for not paying my balance. And he's like, well, you're going to have to pay an overage fee. She's like, oh yeah, overage fee. I like that. And he's like, okay, well, there's also going to be a late penalty. And she's like, late penalty. Tell me more. And it was so just
you
weird.
You have to imagine
creepy.
though, that like, a month ago or whatever, there was some ad exec that went in and was like, all right, here's the idea, guys. And, the CEO and everybody's like, this is going to work. And then like tomorrow, they're like, you're fired. That was the worst idea ever.
Don't get me wrong. We're talking about it. And sometimes that's what those commercials are there to do, is to get you talking. But I mean, it was weird. It was kind of creepy.
Yeah.
It was funny, but it was kind of creepy.
You wonder, like, do they have any kind of, like, I don't know, maybe like, surveys or focus groups to say, hey, how does this resonate with you? Do you think this is weird? Should our brand be associated with sex and S&M and all, Maybe not.
It's T-Mobile. They do what they want to do.
That's right. On that note, though, it's kind of funny because not really knowing beforehand kind of our topic tonight, I was in the car and I was coming back from an errand I had to run earlier tonight, returning a ladder action to my buddy Jeff Waldron. Shout out to you, brother. I had it for 2 months. Sorry. Anyway, and they started talking about the commercial Cars for Kids. Do you know it?
No, I don't think so.
KARS, Cars for Kids. It's like this charity where you can donate your car and you get a tax deduction and it goes to help children, basically. But the commercial is really weird. And it's like this 6-year-old kid, and it's been on for years. And it's nationwide, but I think it started in Chicago, I think. Anyway, and so it's like this little 6-year-old kid singing KARS, Cars for Kids, and it's misspelled, which is kind of weird as well. And then the adult comes in, kind of like a Johnny Cash knockoff, like a half-cocked version, and he's like,
okay,
1877 Cars for Kids, and he's got this weird vibrato. So there has been like internet like rage over this commercial for years, and people send like hate mail to the company, and they won't even reveal the kid who sang its name because he has gotten death threats. That's how bad people hate this commercial. It's just a radio commercial. It's not even like a real commercial, just a radio spot. But people hate it so much that they called the channels that air it and say, I'll turn off your radio station when I hear this commercial. And but all of this negative publicity, like their car donations has spiked, and they get like 450,000 cars donated a year, or some crazy number like that. And they've made tons of money, and they do real estate investments to help the kids and all this stuff. And so they fully acknowledge how bad the ad is and how much people hate it, but they hate it so much that they remember it. right? And so just like what you're talking about, that it might be a negative ad, it might have bad implications, but we're talking about it.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about it, and we're going to remember it for a while. So maybe they did their job. I mean, maybe that ad exec didn't get fired. Maybe, T-Mobile's getting a bunch of people switching over. Maybe he just made like $4 million commission.
Dang him.
Or maybe he's buried in a cement grave next to Jimmy Hoffa. Who knows?
And the Pirates of the Caribbean cast. So what other ones did you like? I really liked what do you think about the Honda Celebrity Yearbook?
I liked that one. I was going to bring that up if you didn't. I like the idea that they took celebrity photo. It was, lighthearted. It was a lighthearted Honda commercial, but celebrity photos, and then they actually had them do voiceover and they animated it. And by far, I think the powder blue tuxedo
Jimmy
Kimmel was by far hysterical.
Playing the clarinet.
It's like, you can play the clarinet if you want to. I mean, I wouldn't wear this suit, but play the clarinet.
Or Steve Carell, he's like, and nobody thought that I would become successful. And the guy next to him was like, yeah, nobody's like, shut up, Daryl. It was rhetorical. Oh,
that was a really good commercial. I did really like that one.
Yeah.
I liked the Cam Newton one where they're like, if that's a Buick, then my kid's Cam Newton. And all of a sudden his kid turns into Cam Newton and like he hikes the football and all the other kids are trying to tackle him and he's just like pushing kids over and he throws the football and it like hits this kid and like the kid slides into the end zone because it just like knocks him backwards.
He finds the receiver. The receiver's like, no.
Yeah. I thought that one was kind of a funny one. I mean, once again, it was a little more lighthearted. But a good ad for Buick. I mean, that wasn't that bad. I liked it.
Yeah.
I'll tell you another weird one, right? The Super Bowl, one of its main sponsors was Alfa Romeo.
Yep.
Alfa Romeo. And they were talking about like, the human spirit, is indomitable and we're going to overcome this. And then their little tagline, you can ride on the back of a dragon. And then they show the car and it's like the Alfa Romeo, I don't know what it was called, like Gioli or something like that. Like that car is like a $60,000 car. Alfa Romeos are like not affordable cars for probably most Americans. Why were they like so heavily advertising during the Super Bowl? Like it just felt like Chevy, okay, I get Buick, Ford, but it's like, hey, Rolls-Royce wants to put out a sponsored, Super Bowl commercial. I mean, really?
Right.
I just kind of thought that didn't fit quite as well. I mean, I kept going back thinking, why are they trying to sell a $60,000 car when that's maybe not the best spot? I mean, man, put that ad in Wimbledon. Those people can buy one.
Like Grey Poupon, dip your buffalo chicken wings in some Grey Poupon.
I mean,
go Patriots! Yeah. I did see, on that note though, I mean, I did see an ad for Audi as well, which those are $60,000 to $80,000 cars as well. That was the one with it was called Daughter, I think, and it was the soapbox racer where.
Yeah, the little downhill racer girl.
Yeah, which I didn't like that. I mean, the cinematography that was great and whatnot, but it was so overt. It was like, am I going to tell my daughter that she's not as good as a man? Am I going to tell my daughter that she shouldn't get paid as much as a man? No, I'm not. I'm like, really? And give me the Budweiser. I like the subtle.
Yeah. Going back to the political stuff, I agree. I didn't care for that one for that same reason. It was very, very overt, and I was just like, okay. But companies trying to make political statements in commercials, you're a capitalist, I don't know what the word is even. You're a company, right? You're in the business of capitalism, of making money. I mean, if you get really super political, you may turn people off.
Right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to be buying an Audi, but it's not because of that commercial. It's because I don't have the dang cash. I mean, that's just the plain facts of life. And I'm not talking about Tootie either. But that's just me. I'm not going to buy an Audi because I don't have that money. But there might be people that have the money that would want to buy one but now maybe they feel like they've, I don't know, that they disagree with the political message or that whatever. And so it may keep them from that. And that would be unfortunate because I don't think, you should necessarily, not buy a quality product from someone just because they have a different political view than you.
Right.
But that could harm sales. You never know. I mean,
yeah.
I think you have to take a balanced approach if you're a business because money. But,
no, I agree. One point that I was going to bring up as well, and I'm trying to think of it now, was
the creepy Spud McKenzie ghost dog thing.
I actually thought so. It was kind of weird. Throwback, definitely. I did like the part when he's like, I don't remember the guy's name. Here, Chad, take this thing of Budweiser and this fedora. Bad. In second thought, give me the fedora. Bad idea.
I mean, do you remember the Spuds McKenzie commercials? All I remember was like a dog riding a skateboard.
Or a surfboard in a Hawaiian shirt. But yeah, he never really spoke, I don't recall.
No, and like in this one he's speaking and he's like handed him stuff and like the movement of the arms and legs look really awkward. And I just didn't find it funny. That's the problem.
Yeah.
I didn't find it funny. And I was like, you're going for nostalgia on a dead dog from like the 80s. I mean, listen, Spud McKenzie was no Benji, okay?
Right.
If it was Benji and they brought Benji's ghost back out, I would have been in tears. Of course, it depends on which Benji. There was like 7 of them, but
like Fast and Furious. No, I didn't think it was that funny either. I thought there were a few funny lines, but overall, it was a pretty long commercial. And I understand what they were trying to do, like, hey, beer is to be shared with friends, and they need you, and you, yeah. But it didn't resonate with me. Not only because I don't drink beer, but I just didn't think it was that funny. And I think in order of operation, funny sells best. Sex sells second. I'm talking Super Bowl ads, not purchasing that on the streets. And third, I would say, is kind of the epic, the tug at the heartstrings. But that's kind of the order of operations for Super Bowl ads for me, and I think for most people.
I think you're probably right. I'll tell you another one that seemed like a little weird, like it just seemed like it didn't fit, was Morgan Freeman, and they show him and he's talking about this airline, and I was like, okay, what airline is this? And it shows like a whole bunch of Morgan Freeman sitting on this one plane, and then like it zooms out and it was an ad for Turkish Airlines. And I kind of went, wait a minute, this isn't like United or
Morgan
Delta.
Freeman driving an Alfa Romeo?
Let's be honest, the Super Bowl is a big American sporting event. Why are they heavily advertising Turkish Airlines? Let's go back to this. Who's the marketing guy for Turkish Airlines? That's like, listen, guys, we need an ad in the Super Bowl. We're going to get tons of Americans that are going to want to come to Turkey.
Your demographic that's watching this, it wants to eat turkey.
That's about as far as they know turkey. Yeah, I thought that was a little weird. Once again, just didn't fit right for me.
Well, I guess here's the question, though. I mean, they obviously do a lot of market research. They do lots of data, lots of demo searches, understanding what age groups, what population, what class and socioeconomic status. So maybe it's that they know something we don't. Maybe the viewership of the Super Bowl has expendable income to travel to Turkey and to buy Alfa Romeos.
Do you really think that Turkish Airlines knows something more than we know about the Super Bowl? I'm just saying.
Well, I mean, they spent $5 million, so I think they, I don't know. I'm just thinking that there are quite a lot of wealthy people, I'm sure, that watch Super Bowl as well, and it's probably, their thought probably is where are the most eyeballs going to be on this particular day, and if we can allocate some advertising dollars to that, then we'll just be in the fray with the likes of Audi and Alfa Romeo and Snickers and Twix and Wendy's and Mr. Clean and John Malkovich.
Okay. I mean, I'm not saying you can't spend your money, guys. Spend away. I'm just saying.
But I want a turkey leg.
Now I'm hungry. Nice job.
Speaking of hungry, so what did you think of the KFC ad?
The one where the guy's like all gold and he's talking about like the gold barbecue sauce.
He's like, I put gold on my legs and on my thighs and on my tenders.
It was weird.
It was weird, right?
I mean, he kind of looked like, James Bond Goldeneye, or not, a Goldfinger.
Yeah.
And I was like, I don't know if I want to eat chicken right now.
And then the real colonel comes out of like the side and like tries to tackle him and like, dong. I thought it was kind of weird.
Yeah, it was kind of weird. I wasn't really hungry when I was watching that, but if I was hungry, it would probably make me want Popeye's chicken and not KFC just because it was kind of creepy.
When you're talking about putting gold on your tender pieces, I don't know what that really means, but I think there's an innuendo there somewhere.
Yeah, it doesn't necessarily make me want to eat your food.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
What about the Wix.com Jason Statham ad in the restaurant with the chef?
Yeah, that was the one where there's like a big fight that was going on, right? And the whole place gets like basically torched down, and while the guy's trying to build his website,
it's kind of a roundabout way to get to the product.
Yeah, some of these commercials just I don't know. They seem maybe like a good idea in theory, but on execution, not so much. Kind of like the Snickers commercial with Adam Driver, right? Who was Kylo Ren. It was supposed to be a live commercial, and they were going to do this thing, and he's like, I may mess this thing up. And he was saying like that ahead of time. And like the commercial was kind of, you got the idea, it was kind of intended to be messed up. And they're like, oh man, this was live. And he's like, yeah. Like, you didn't even know it was for Snickers. Like, it didn't really stand out. Just, I think the idea may have been kind of a good idea, but execution I thought was pretty poor.
That was weird. Yeah, I watched it when he's like laying down like the dead cowboy audition. And then he got up and he's like, and then it was done. I'm like, okay, maybe like you're wanting me to want more, and that's kind of like your tagline, like want more. But that was it was disconnected, totally disconnected for me. I didn't get it. It was like a New Yorker cartoon in the New Yorker. I'm like, it's a pig and he's in line and I don't get it.
Not every commercial is going to hit everybody. And I think the ones that I'm going to remember, hit me for various reasons, right? And some just missed me. I mean, that's just the way it is. So I guess that's what makes us all different. So like, I'm curious, and maybe we should make this the question of the week, Steve. What commercial from Super Bowl 51 stood out to you? Maybe not like the one you liked the most, but like what stood out to you and why did it stand out? Mm-hmm. Yeah, let's make that the question, because I think that would be an interesting thing to hear from people is, why did a certain commercial stand out to them, and, for what reason? Or, was it something that was funny? Was it something that was, thought-provoking, whatever. Yeah,
for good or for bad. Because I think, like you said, standout could be like a Cars for Kids or, Mr. Clean or whatever, or, or one that you liked, just one that stood out. I think that's a good one. One other one that I wanted to mention, we didn't get a chance to talk about it, but I thought it was funny. It had a number of good lines, was the Secret Society for Avocados from Mexico. I thought it was funny. I love the one guy who's like, keeps talking about Sasquatch, Bigfoot. He's like, stop it. And then...
how do they even know about this? He's like, are you live tweeting this? He's like, no.
Is that bad? Am I not supposed to do that? and then in the end, like the celebrity appearance of John Lovitz was kind of random and odd, but I thought
the whole commercial was random and odd, but in a good way. I mean, I laughed. I thought it was good.
Yeah.
But a little random, but anyway.
So back to our studio audience. So yes, we want to hear what ad from the Super Bowl stood out to you most and why.
So you can let us know your answers on Twitter. You can follow us at Fort of Nerd, and you can respond there, or you can follow us on Facebook, and you can respond there, facebook.com/Fort of Nerd. Or you can even email us through the old email, which is fortofnerd@gmail.com. Now, please reach out to us. I promise I will try to be better about posting the question of the week a little earlier this next week. It was crazy with the Super Bowl and everything. I kind of forgot about it. But anyway, let us know what stood out to you on the Super Bowl commercials and why did it stand out to you. Steve, we're always gaining new listeners. We're getting new friends. We're getting more people to join us here in the Fortress of Nerditude and to, kick back and, put their feet up on the coffee table and take a seat on the couch. But we need more people. I just feel like we got so much couch space, and we want people to join us.
Yeah, we got like a really big love seat with like an infinite number of cushions. We got to fill those cushions out. We got to put butts in the seats, man.
That's what I'm talking about. So we want you to tell your friends about us. We want you to help us become more visible. Steve, how can our listeners do that for us?
Guys, please rate us on iTunes so the Fortress of Nerditude isn't as hard to find as a fully inflated football on Super Bowl Sunday.
Tom Brady's now not going to listen. Thanks a lot, Steve.
He was the guy in Finland.
Dang it. Anyway. Well, thank you for joining us this week. We're glad you spent a little bit of your time to be with us. And Steve, may the Force be with you. Always.
Go Bears.